So today's gonna be the day. Welcome back, everybody. We're gonna finally get started on this Camaro. You've probably seen it in the background of a lot of videos. We pretty much did most of the work on Hunter's 66 Mustang, so now it's my turn to do my Camaro. It's a 1973 Camaro. I've probably made a few videos on it. I got it running a couple summers ago. Did all the work to get the ignition and the wires and everything in the distributor under there good to go. Cleaned out the gas tank. It runs really well, but it's needed this paint and body work for a long time, and this is the condition that I got it in. Apparently the story on this guy is I was told the guy I bought it from got it from his parents, and I think it was his mom's car or dad's car. It's had like a full restoration in the 90s. But then it had been sitting for a really long time. I think when the dad passed away and the mom just didn't drive it, she had it sitting around. So it's really not that rusty. It's a California car from what I was told. And yeah, it's what I wanted, 1973. I wanted 70 to 73. Don't care about the split bumper, but it is split bumper. I think it's a RS LT, maybe something. I'd have to look, but I just wanted the 70 to 73 year model. I don't like those big bumpers on the 75 and 74 cars, which I've had before. So we're gonna get the paint and body work done up on this thing. It doesn't need much just because there's a little bit of rust. It used to have a soft top, I'll show you that. And that's where some of the rust, that's the biggest issue I gotta deal with up on the roof, is from the old soft top that was on it. It's been cut off since before I got it, but you could see the damage that was done. So other than that, we're finally getting around to it. I've got the front seat out because it was frozen, rusted in place, and it had a sunroof on it, so I'm thinking that might have had something to do with why the seats are completely rusted, even though it was in the Sacramento area. But that seat, the slide function, does not move forward or reverse, and I couldn't see the bolts, so I couldn't take it out. It was just stuck all the way back for a couple years, and I finally soaked it with a bunch of blaster and then hit it with hammer from the back to slide it forward so I could take the seat out. And there's the sunroof that, you know, at some point dealer or somebody cut out and put in a sunroof, and I still have the glass for the sunroof, but I'm gonna weld it up just because I don't want one. Headliner sagging down there, but the interior was in great condition. Great enough, right? It was complete, the seats are all there. Had some sort of a matching reupholstery job done in the 90s probably. It works really well with the maroon. The only problem with the maroon interior is I don't have a lot of color options for the exterior. I'm not gonna do green or blue or something like that. It won't match the maroon interior. My only options for paint are like white, gray, black, or some sort of red, really maroon. So I'll let you know if you stick around to the end what color I'm gonna go with. But let's get, it had all the badges. Clear coat was still on the sides, of course, like it usually is, but the hood was a mess and the roof was a nightmare. But the body's completely straight, and there's a little bit of Bondo in it here and there, some dings, but overall really good condition in my opinion. I'm a fan, I liked it, got what I thought was a fair enough deal, and you can see where the vinyl top used to be. The back glass had already been removed, and that's where a lot of the damage is as well. The rear, super cool. These things are so cool with the rear, whatever, tail lights, the circle like that, the bullet lights maybe. Neat stuff. So now some of the damage, let's focus. You can see the rear window is obviously leaking for a while. There's holes in it, and it's real pitted in this area. And some of the stuff's been cut out. I don't know if, maybe some there was cut out, and that's totally rotted through. And just, this is underneath the soft top. It's not terrible. I'm gonna wire wheel that down and do a bunch of sanding and see how it goes. But the whole roof is not too bad. The worst spots are, for the most part, this back area around the windshield. Seen better days, totally rotted through. I might be able to get a piece to replace this or do some work on that. We'll see. Oh, all these are for the soft top that I'm going to cut off. This is the worst of it. The extent of the damage from the soft top is really over here on the passenger side. These holes, I didn't do any of this. Someone's clearly been messing with it. I don't know if they've already done some grinding or what, or folding in, or I don't know how that lost all of its paint, probably acid or something. So, and you can tell there's some heavy score marks in here. Somebody was on it with power tools and somebody cut this out, whatever was there. So I'll have to weld all this in and clean this up as best I can and then just smush it back together. I'm not really that worried about it. There is some pretty good deep pitting on the roof, but I think it's gonna be fine as long as I get most of it up, and then I'll hit it all with acid. And then I'll probably just throw some filler over it, a little glaze coat, and we'll see if the paint flakes off in a couple of years. If it does, then I'll be bummed and buy a new roof and weld it in. I'll chop this whole thing out. But if not, if I can get away with it, that's the plan. So, for the most part, that's the car. That's all you need to see for now. And let's get into the process of paint and body work. Not a lot of fun. The first thing I'm gonna do, before I mess with any of the sides, because this doesn't need anything. There's no rust in any of the rockers or the wheel wells. They're solid, and there's no bubbling or flaking from old bad Bondo. I think it's a California car. I'm not gonna mess with the sides yet, because that just really needs, for the most part, a scuff. This will be the car's third paint job, so I'm not really trying to get down to bare metal. I don't care. What I'm going to do is work on this. My first plan is probably to take off all this trim up here, just so it's not in my way. Tape off these holes here, and then I will start going at it with, I bought a wire wheel attachment for my angle grinder. I think this guy will be the most abrasive and what I'm gonna go with for the first pass. So let's get these trim pieces off, and then I'll show you the next step. I masked off the back window since it doesn't have a glass in it, and I put some cardboard over the hole where the sunroof was. And now I'm gonna go through, what I'm most interested in is all the pitted rust. So I'm gonna get my wire wheel attachment and my angle grinder. I'm gonna put a respirator on for this crap. And then I'm gonna go through and just see what it does to some of the light pitting on the roof, and then I'm gonna see what it does to some of the heavy pitting in the channels here, and see what that does. That doesn't seem so productive. This might suck a lot more than I was hoping. So you can see, I mean, don't let the shine of the light fool you. It really didn't get down to bare metal there. It's just the reflection. You can kind of see it darkened up some of these spots, and that was when I had it like sharp on the angle. But when I was running it in these big flat wide spaces, it didn't really, you can tell it's like it did that. Barely lightened it up, so that's not good. I'm gonna put the flap disc back on and maybe see if that makes more progress. Well, I stand corrected. It's really not, it's not enjoyable. It's not easy at all. Well, this was obviously a very heavily oxidized or rusted out and pitted spot. Man, I don't know what to... This little, I've been using the flap wheel, just like a grinder, a flap disc, something you would grind off welds with or sand stuff down. There's a lot of filler right here, and I can see it. I'm not too sure why it's there, but it seems like there's a good bit of pitting underneath the filler.
And this is all adhesive. It's not like bubbling or flaking filler. My main concern is I don't want to, obviously all the pitting and you know the scratches and everything, it's gonna get a glaze coat over it and it's gonna need to be sanded back down and smoothed out so that the lines are not wavy. But I don't want it to start bubbling and cracking you know, a year or two after I do the paint job. That's gonna be a bummer. So I don't know how they got, I mean they bondoed over at some point. They bondoed over this, and it does look that there is pitting rust underneath there, so maybe I can bondo over it and it won't come through. But I mean, you know, I can get to the top spot, but all these low spots of the pitting, it's impossible to get to. Now I've got acid, muriatic acid, and maybe that'll do the trick. I'm just not sure what's the best way to do this. This little flap disc, it does a bunch of cuts like this. This wasn't me, but there's a lot of lumps in here from the flap disc. So I don't know what the best way to go is. Maybe it's better just to use a sander on everything and then come in with the wire wheel thing to try to get in these pits as much as possible and then hit it with the acid. But I mean, I didn't do any of this. I don't know what this is, but I'm gonna take all the trim off too, but I'm not too sure, man. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Maybe the bodywork guys, maybe you've got a better idea. I mean, aside from cutting the roof off and welding on a new one, what the heck is the right way to go about, I mean, all this pitting? Acid? Muriatic acid? Maybe? Otherwise, I am not sure. Obviously, I'll be able to smooth over anything with Bondo, but I don't know what the best way is. So, alright, well, we'll keep going.